was a kid, I wanted to be an entomologist. I wanted to study insects. Now, not a lot of you are the most comfortable around bugs, but I am hoping that by the end of my speech, you will at least have warmed up to the idea of bees. I've loved insects since I was little, and bees have been one of my favorite. I even dressed up as a bee for Halloween one year. True story. But as I've grown up, I've realized that the world isn't quite as friendly towards bees as I have been. So I'm going to talk today about the downward spiral of the bee population, as well as what is causing it, and something that even college students can do to help them out. So first off, what exactly is going on with them? Well, you may or may not have heard about about honeybees recently in the news because their population has been decreasing at an alarming rate. There's been a 60% loss in hives from the 6 million in 1974 to the only 2.4 million in 2008. Brian Walsh, the author of a Time magazine article entitled "The Plight of the Honeybee," states, quote, "Honeybees are still dying on a scale rarely seen today. 1/3 of U.S. honeybee colonies have died or disappeared in the past year, a 42% increase since the previous year, and well above the 10 to 15% loss that beekeepers used to face in normal winters." So what's so special about bees? Why should we care? Well, bees are responsible for 1/3 of the nation's crop pollination and contribute to over $15 billion to the farming industry each year. But what exactly is causing this downward spiral of the population? Well, in 2006, a phenomenon known as the colony collapse disorder, also known as CCD for short, it first appeared. And the phenomenon was that bees were disappearing at an extraordinary rate and nobody knew why. James Ellis says for his International Bee Research Association article, "The colony loss, managed colony population decline, and colony collapse disorder in the United States gives a definition of what colony collapse disorder looks like in hives. Collapsed hives have, quote, complete absence of adult bees in colonies, as well as few or no dead bees in or around the colony, the presence of capped brood, and presence of food stores that have not been robbed by other bees, or typical colony pests," end quote. So even though we don't know exactly what is causing this, the outbreak of colony collapses, there are plenty of suspects, and pesticides is one of them. Because there are 1,200 different pesticides licensed for use in the United States, this is a big issue, especially for insects. One of the newest is called neonicotinoids, and it is a dangerous family because it doesn't kill insects right away, but it screws up their internal GPS and flight systems so that they can't find their way back home. So this is especially important for bees since they live in a hive and they need to drop off all their nectar and pollen and whatnot. China has wiped out their bee population because of overuse of pesticides. So now farmers have to manually pollinate all their fruit trees and pollinator-dependent plants by hand with brushes, because they don't have any bees to do this job for them. But bees also face some more natural dangers. Their natural habitats, such as forests and meadows, are being paved down and replaced with urban centers or more industrialized crop fields. Because bees need a diverse food just like us, we need lots of different stuff in our diet, they need different nectars from various plants, and they don't have that diversity anymore, so they aren't quite as healthy. But there can also be dangers inside the hive as well. Mites can take over hives and devastate entire colonies very, very quickly. So especially the Varroa destructor, which is well built to take down bees. they drain their bees' hemolymph, which is basically their blood, and it is incredibly invasive and will tear down entire colonies very, very quickly. There is Australia is very, very careful of what bees they let in because they have not yet been infected by the Varroa destructor, so they have a quarantine. So with the cause behind colony collapse disorder is still a mystery. Bees and their keepers need all the help that they can get because, never mind. We need tighter regulations on pesticides as well as more careful monitoring of poisons and their effects, especially to make them less likely to do negative harm to more helpful insects such as bees. Consumers can do their part by doing a little bit of research before going out and buying a pesticide or a poison to deal with an insect problem, and try to figure out a less harmful way in order to do that. Another way to help out bees is to plant a garden. Jonah Robbins says in her article for the Honeybee Conservancy, says that bee gardens are a safe haven and for bees and nice to look at for humans, because done right, bee gardens will have flowers that bloom throughout the season and are nice to look at, and while providing nectar and pollen for the bees. But I realize that not all of you are in a position to go buy pesticides or plant gardens, especially in a dorm. So there's an easier way that college kids can help out bees without doing a whole lot, and that's just to use honey. Because honey profits directly impact honey keepers or beekeepers and bees themselves, it would definitely help boost the bee industry. But honey also has merits of its own. Keith Cantor, a scientist who sat in for an interview with the Huffington Post, says that it's actually healthier than cane sugar. It has trace elements that are helpful to your body, as well as many vitamins depending on where you get your honey from. And the complex sugars that are in honey take more energy to break down, so you end up gaining less calories than you would if you were to eat cane sugar of the same amount. It's great for putting on veggies in the dining center because I know that there are honey containers in both Piazza and Rialto, which are great, they're always there. But there are over 300 different flavors of honey as well, so you can easily use that in cooking to match flavors with your recipe to whichever suits yours best, or you can eat it raw like candy. So you can take one, pass it around. You should be able to bite off the end, but if not, there's a scissors. It's just clover honey. It shouldn't taste that bad. So the consumption of honey is really good for all parties involved. And now that you know more about the dangerous situation that bees are facing, as well as the cause behind it, I can only hope that you will keep in mind what you can do to help out bees. Because I think they're pretty neat insects, and between pollination and the creation of honey, they're definitely high on my list of favorite insects. So I know I've never wanted a world without bees, but hopefully now you don't either. Thank you.